report by the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime in Nigeria indicates that 14.4%, that is 14.3 million people in Nigeria between the age of 15 and 64 abuse drugs. A lot of organizations have come together to tackle the issue of drug abuse, of which the Oganiru Youth Center is one of them. Hello, how do you do today?
Fine.
You're welcome to our studio in Voice of the East.
Thank you so much.
Please, can you tell us about yourself?
Okay, my name is NDUBISI DESMOND. I'm actually the team lead of Oganiru Youth Center. Oganiru Youth Center is a coalition of young persons in Meniru. Meniru is a community in Amago, Okonano West, here in Enugu South. So one time we came together and we thought about how youth used to roam the streets, you know, the issue of unemployment, the issue of drug, the high rise of drug in our streets, where young persons within the age of under 14 years are taking drugs. And picturing Meniru from outside, people see Meniru as a hub for drug trafficking and every other thing that has to do with drugs. So we thought about re-imaging our community, you know, changing the narrative, how people see us, and trying to build up ourselves from within and bring to an end this issue of drug abuse within our community. So we set up the team, Oganiru Youth Center, for us to be able to build a we wanted to set up a drug-free club where young persons who want to, maybe drug users or non-drug users, will come together and also share minds, share their thoughts, and know how to come about dropping these social vices. Because one, where there is a drug rise in a community, where youths are into drugs, so many things tend to erupt. Things like social vices, violence, cultism, crimes, and so many of them, which we experience on a normal in our community.
Okay, so because of the high rise of drug abuse in the community, that's why you guys came up with this organization.
Yes.
Okay, so what will you say that drug abuse or drug addiction is to you? Like, what's the definition you can give to it?
To me, drug addiction is a chronic relapsing disorder that compels the individual to always seek for those drugs without even thinking about the health damages and things and the risk involved with those drugs that they are into. You know, you see the person scampering for it anytime that he begins to feel that kind of feeling in his systems, you know, going as far as committing crimes just to take those drugs. And those drugs are majorly harmful and dangerous drugs, which if they know what they are taking, most persons won't. That's why we're coming together to teach them and also enlighten them on what they are doing to themselves.
Okay, you said that to you, drug abuse when there is a relapse. But before there is a relapse, the person must have started before the person had to relapse. So it's there where you guys have come together to see that nobody can even start it before going into a relapse.
Yes, we've been doing so many things to educate persons on drugs that can be addictive. You know, we've done so many trainings, we've organized seminars with teachers, with young persons in our community. We've gone as far as going to schools to educate them. Most times, these drugs, persons take them as prescription drugs, not to talk about weed and other hard drugs. Prescription drugs are also addictive. You know, persons might have headache or something like that. They go to a pharmacy and tells the pharmacist that they are having a headache, and you know, what the pharmacist won't even think about taking a scan or a test. The next thing is Mixelum or, you know, something like that. And when you start taking those drugs, you think they are effective. That's why you go back to them on a frequent basis. So we've been doing our best. We've been using our platforms. We've been using social media. We've been organizing engagements in our community. We've been putting up signposts, banners, billboards, going to homes to like educate persons on these dangers of drug abuse.
Wow, that's really, really thoughtful of your organization, because it's not everyone that comes together to think like this. Everybody's always man on himself. Nobody thinks about the community where they are based. So now, what do you think are the crises that comes up with this drug abuse?
Like I mentioned earlier, drug abuse has so many other effects that both physical and mental issue. If you look around the streets of Enugu, you see a number of young persons, going mentally ill, going about the streets naked, and most of them are issues of drug abuse. It leads to crime. It leads to cultism. We did a survey one time, and we understood that this issue of Yahoo and stuff like that are actually things that put young persons into these practice because they try to like look for money to maintain those habits. So it might put you in a long run where you can't sustain without being on drugs, and you start doing every other things that might give you to that drugs. Yes. So many crises. People lose their lives. Families, education. We did a program in one school one time. We noticed that most persons that dropped out of the school, most young persons, males mostly, were persons using drugs. All of the time they couldn't cope with the studies. They had to drop out of school. So, and this is one thing persons are not, the authorities and the governments are not looking into. Young persons are dropping out of school not because of funds, not because of school fees or anything, but because of the lives they have put to themselves. Most persons lose their lives and can't come back to school again. So many things to mention, but a few. So there are so many dangers, there are so many crises related to drug abuse, and nothing good comes out of it.
That's true. Yeah, because I worked with psychiatry, like this psychiatry in Enugu here. Because of this education I talked about, one of our patients was mentally ill because the course that he wanted to study isn't what the parents want him to study. So he went to school and started abusing drugs. That was how he found himself in psychiatry. So a lot of things happens mentally, and it has a lot of crisis to it. We already know that use between the ages of nowadays, mostly people below 15 also get involved. So
12, 10.
Yeah, the rise is on a rise. So what message do you have for the youth? Like, what do you have to tell people that this is what you have to do? Because some people, to them, they just want to feel alright. There is this kind of feeling that they get, so they just want to feel alright. So what message do you have for them about this?
Thank you so much for this. I would love to tell them that drug is not the cure. Christ is actually a base for you to escape anything that you feel that is troubling you. And I believe that parents has a lot of work to do. Most parents don't look into what their children are doing. They don't ask questions. They don't create an environment for their children to come around and tell them what their problem is. So they tend to like go out there and engage with their peers, and most of them fall into the wrong hands. So I believe that the first point of action is parents. They should embrace their children. And just like the other day, I was mentoring one of my students, and the mom was telling me that they are planning to involve the military people to bundle him, take him to psychiatric diet. I said, no, ma. These things are not things that you tend to stigmatize the persons into those acts. You bring them close, you show them motherly love, that love that they tend to seek outside. You bring them close, you try to make them believe that there is a way out. There is a way out that won't even affect your future, it won't affect your education. You need to do away with bad friends, and always reach out when you feel you are in danger. We have a treatment center here in Enugu, though it's not within this urban ASICs. We're working with SEP, Society for Improvement of Rural Persons here in Enugu. They have a treatment center in Obolafo. So we're trying to make sure that persons into drugs don't feel that it's the end for them. You can come around, we'll have a drug-free club where you meet like minds, we'll discuss, we'll try to help you, get relief from anything that is the issue.
Okay, it's very, very nice. Like the whole thing is well informative and educative. So are there like activities or programs which you organize for youth to educate them more and like to create more awareness about this drug abuse?
Yes, we've been doing so many programs. We did a training, just like I told you, a training with youths and teachers and parents, which comes up every year. We also just concluded an essay competition, which we did on the 30th of September. We'll have youths from different streets within Meniru come together to compete on this issue of drug addiction. Yeah, and we have the winner of the competition with me today in the studio.
That's for the essay competition.
Yes, the essay competition we did.
That's very nice. After this interview, we'll have a talk with the winner.
And it was a mind-blowing event, and which we tend to keep on doing annually. It comes up every year. We're using the platform in a way to send a message out there, because you can't meet everybody, but when you bring like minds together, they have friends, they have families, they can actually reach out to. So we're using that platform to raise more awareness on our campaigns. We also have school campaigns we're doing. We go to different secondary schools here in Enugu to educate them on this issue of drug abuse. We'll have a drug-free club, which persons from the age of 14 to 20 years are advised to join, for them to learn more about these drugs and how to prevent addiction and abuse.
Okay, this drug-free club, is it already situated in schools? Have you gone to schools to announce to them for people to join? Because that's another avenue for people below the age, or people between this teenager age that are always pressurized by their peers to join the club.
Yes, we've actually written out to several secondary schools here in Enugu, and we were waiting for their permission for us to start engaging their students. But for now, we'll have an online group chat where we'll do our virtual sections on these trainings. So for now, we're doing an online program for now. And by the time we'll have permissions from these schools, now we'll have to establish these clubs in various schools.
Thank you very much for all this you've been doing, because it's always good to be thoughtful about your community and creating so many things for people to join. I must commend you, because it's not easy coming up with things like this, especially with the way things are right now, and you being more depressed and people doing a lot of things just to feel hard, because cost of living is very high. People are just trying to sustain, and they end up taking in substances that are not good for them. And also alcohol, it's not just when you take drug and you feel like this drug. Even alcohol when you abuse it, it also causes a lot.
Yeah,
it tends to bring you to the psychiatric home. I want to say thank you for honoring this invitation to come and let the world know about drug abuse. Also, in the building, we have the winner of the Oganiru Youth Center essay competition, by name Mr. Obodo Stephen Chijindo. Hello, Mr. Stephen. How are you today?
I'm fine.
So you are the winner of the contest. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Please, where is my own share? So how do you feel about this contest? How do you feel about the contest? What made you to be okay, I want to enter this contest?
Well, I feel happy about being the winner of the contest. What actually made me join it was based on the topic and the youth center, based on their program and their campaign, to also share my insights in a form of creative writing, trying to reach out to fellow young minds, and also an avenue for me to meet my fellow young people and also share my own insights about drug abuse.
Drug abuse. So now you've entered it and you have friends, you have people. What do you have to tell them about drug abuse?
Well, I'll tell them to totally abstain from every form of drug abuse. Even if I know it's really hard for some people who are into various life problems, because this is something that are addictive, and most of the times people use drugs just to ease their stress or to lessen their stress due to difficulties of life. I would advise them to find a better coping skills.
You talked about better coping skills. So what
Yes.
are coping skills you advise people to do?
One of the coping skills I would advise people to have or to take to ensure that this drug abuse is being curbed is setting your boundaries and setting your limits, choosing your circle of friends. Setting boundaries includes setting boundaries for your friendship. Don't allow your friends to choose you, rather you choose your friends. Know the places you go to and the people you relate to it. Then another one is speaking out to people around you, sharing your problems with trusted people around you that might be of help to you, and also try not to be alone. At least go out to social gatherings where you meet your fellow like minds and young minds like you, and try to relate with people around you.
Wow, that's very nice. Very, very nice. Congratulations once more. And thank you for coming here.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you. So if you're listening to us and you are into drugs or you are someone taking in substances that are not good for your health, just think about it. The rate of drug abuse is on the increase and it affects everyone socially, mentally, psychologically, financially. Because you spend your money to buy the drug. The money that you use to better your life, you take it into drugs. So please, please, and please avoid drug abuse.